People, welcome to another Unpopular Review Entertainment movie review. This is a spoiler movie review. Y'all seen it right there. Have y'all seen the movie? If you have, stay tuned to discuss this. What would you call it? Epic? Would you call it a sequel? What would you call this Transformers Rise of the Beast movie? Whatever you're going to call it, stay tuned. We're going to discuss it right after this. Transformers Beast Wars, or Rise of the Beast, whatever you want to call it. But listen, my name is Mike Knox. I am one of the hosts this evening, and as always, I'm joined by somebody on Unpopular Review. So today, I think we bring in the executive consultant. What's going on, Mr. EC?
What's going on, Mike Knox? How are you today?
I'm doing just fine, but this movie, on the other hand, let's discuss it right here. I will say this much about this movie. With this, it's the Transformers that I wanted. The question is, was it the Transformers that we got? First of all, people, this movie is taking place directly from the sequel from the first film of Transformers. So basically, this is on the strength of Bumblebee that happened in the 80s. This is happening in the 90s. And basically what it is that one thing had to do with something else, and they were following one thing to try to stop the world from following the one thing. But then the one thing they got, they wasn't sure what that one thing is. We just know that Unicron was going to be the one that came to Earth. He's trying to take over the Earth. That's what he wanted to do. And what happened? He's not there now. So he's here. The Autobots are here. You got a beautiful cast, by the way. What's his name? Mr. Anthony Ramos plays Noah. You got my girl Dominique Fishback playing Elena, and everybody knows Mr. Tobe playing Reek. You got Mirage being played by Pete Davidson. You got Optimus Primal being played by Ron Perlman. You got Michelle Yeoh playing Air Razor. I mean, we got a tremendous cast here in this film. But the question was, did it land very well, right? I mean, you got, what's his name? Coleman Domingo playing Unicron, voicing Unicron. Peter Dinklage is the voice of Scourge, the bad guy in this film. But you always rate things on, was it a good time? Did you have a good time in the movie? And we'll discuss that later in this movie. But first, your takes on Transformers Rise of the Beast, because frankly, to me, I saw a Transformers movie, not so much Rising of Beast.
Yeah, so this movie was a sequel, as you say, to a prequel. It's much like along the lines of X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past, and Dark Phoenix was to the X-Men movies. This is a prequel to what leads up to Transformers and Last Night, all that crap. Anyway, so yeah, one's from the 80s, one's in the 90s, and as I said, sequel to this prequel. My problem with this is I haven't seen a Transformers movie yet I really liked.
Not a one?
Not a one. I've never really liked any of them. I mean, have they been okay? But I never really liked any of them. I haven't taken out anything. What you need to understand is you're a fan, because we talk about it. You're a fan of the Bumblebee movie, right?
Yes.
And I can't stand you for that, right? That's what I'm saying. You give it a pass. You talk about Bumblebee. You give it a pass just for that first 5-minute sequence, right? Ignoring the fact that you still have 2 hours and 3 minutes of other movie in this movie.
No, that's this movie. Bumblebee was under 2 hours, but I get what you're saying.
Understand what I'm saying? Because even at the beginning of this movie, they somewhat start, even though it's a different director, they somewhat start similar because they show you what really should have been Beast Wars in the first 5 minutes, right? You saw the Scorpion guy and somebody else, but they don't talk, and you don't even see their name. But what made Beast Wars, the animated series, so special, because that was around the time I was growing up, was the fact that you actually did get involved with the characters. You knew the characters; they weren't just thrown in there. This movie was. We're going to give you some of the Transformers that you like, because, of course, you have Optimus Prime, who is really battle-ridden at this time, even though it's still the prequel, and he just wants to kill everything, right?
Everything.
and then they give you a little bit of the movie, right, with the famous movie from the 80s with Unicron and Scourge, right? And then they threw Beast Wars in there. A little too many moving parts. They threw in a whole bunch of pieces that should have been dragged out for a several amount of movies that they could have dragged out for several amount of movies, and I wasn't feeling it. You talk about the great cast in the movie. I wasn't like, what's his name? Ramos? Whatever. What's his name? I wasn't a fan of him.
What? Noah? What did you not possibly like about Noah? This man he took care of his little brother, who to me also one of the best parts of this movie. He got it together real fast, and we'll talk about the ending later, where he's going to end up at.
Okay. So I wasn't a fan of him because he was a little too dry for me. I got no energy from him. He was just so cliche, right? His little brother annoyed me. I wanted to pluck him a few times too. He annoyed me, but his little brother reminded me too much. It was too New York. Too bad Vic's not here. It was too New York, right?
That's what New Yorkers do, though. That's what New Yorkers do.
It was too New York, man. Too New York. That accent I had to hear over and over and over again. Couldn't stand it. No, it wasn't.
Well, every actor in the movie was actually from New York.
I still don't care. It was too New York.
This movie to me was a good time, right? My man Jeremy Johnson would say, can you have a good time in a movie without any alcohol required? Now, granted, I was a little tipsy, okay? But I'd watch it again, and I think that it was a pretty good film. It just, to me, it made me think of, what's that movie with Nicolas Cage? Like National Treasure, right? It's like this part right here, they're in Peru, and you're sitting there going, wow, how did they just find all that stuff so fast? They just showed up, and they were in Peru. They knew how to unlock the secret key to get into the key that they needed to get the key to stop Unicron from destroying this world and every other world. And then you got to look at it like this, where you have the Autobots, you have the Maximums, and you have the Terracons, which I was unfamiliar with Terracons before this movie, to be frank. I had to go back and do some research on them, as they were not in the Transformers cartoon series, okay? But as I'm watching this film, and first of all, things right here that make the movie great. The action. There has never been a Transformers movie, and I mean never, that had action like this where I could follow it. Meaning, as they transformed, it was just, I can distinct which was who, right? You look in the beginning of this movie where you get Bumblebee, right? In this movie, from the first movie, crowd favorite. People love Bumblebee like they love Mario, right? And I'm always like, I'm an Optimus Prime guy, right? But people love Bumblebee. But the action in this movie, to me, is what kept the action going in this movie, was the special effects. I go back to Revenge of the Fallen. I go back to the first Transformers movie, which I was not the biggest fan of, by the way, especially Revenge of the Fallen, because I just felt I couldn't just decipher who was a Decepticon versus who was what. But when you're watching the Terracons in this film, you can clearly see who they are. As they transform, as they're shooting weapons out. Like, the action was, I won't say it was nonstop, but when the action was on the screen, it was great. But let me ask you this question as you watch this movie, and we discussed this movie, spoilers, by the way, not giving anything away towards the end yet, but when I saw Michael Bay production, I remember everybody saying, well, oh, we got to get rid of the Bay films. Even people are tweeting out, oh, they finally stepped away from Michael Bay. I'm watching this film, and I'm still feeling like I'm watching a Michael Bay film. Did you feel the same way? Like, it didn't really change from the first three?
No, not at all, because it felt like a story was being told.
Michael Bay don't tell stories.
But the problem with this story being told, sometimes it kind of lost me. But I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, this kid here, I don't like. I was a fan of most of the robots in disguise. I'll say that. And I give you credit. You hit the nail right on the head. You said exactly what I always had a problem with most of the Transformers movies, is I couldn't tell who was who outside of Optimus and Bumblebee for the most part. You know, you'll have your handful, you can tell, and everybody else is like, well, who the hell is that guy? Is that guy Autobot? Is that guy Decepticon? I could tell each and every single one this time. So that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the character Optimus will always be my guy outside of Megatron. Optimus will always be my guy, but I think the character that really stole the show, I think RC
was very good in this.
Very, very good. I mean, I think they hit that perfectly. Optimus Primal, he was a little punk at times to me.
Here's the problem with the film, right? And coming out of the theater, my wife said the same thing. Like, it's called Rise of the Beast. Where are they rising from? Where are they coming from? As you're watching them, you want to see the story of these guys. They were just there, right? Because the way the movie starts off, like you said, like Bumblebee, they're showing you in the past to where they are now, and they got to stop this thing from happening so that this thing doesn't happen, so that Unicron doesn't take over the world. And as they're trying to stop Unicron from taking over the world, then they show them and they disappear for years. And then they're just there chasing Noah and Elena in the jungles of Peru. I didn't like that part. And as you said as well, outside of Razor, okay, and Optimus Primal, Cheetor gets no love in this movie. I don't think it was even a voice there. Rhino has no voice in this movie.
And those two were two of the most popular ones in the Transformers Beast Wars franchise. So, and I mean, Cheetor, if I remember correctly, he was actually a Decepticon to turn into or a Predacon to turn into a Maximal. So I'm a little lost, but I did like Mirage. I thought Mirage was done very, very well.
I was going to go there with that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
Because people are hating. Like, I'm not a Pete Davidson guy, but I can't necessarily say that Pete Davidson did a bad job. And it's like, if someone didn't tell me that was Pete Davidson, I wouldn't have known that was Pete Davidson. I thought, since people want to get on people, and again, I thought he did a good job. I love Mirage in this movie. I thought that give me the pan. Oh, we're friends now. What are you doing? I thought all those things was great in what he did. And getting into the movie, and you get to where they're Elena and Noah. And here's where the true story comes in it to me. It's Noah to try and defend Earth versus the Autobots and the Primals trying to get home. Or, I'm sorry, the Autobots trying to get home. Because Optimus has one plan, Noah has another plan. And that's where you have to see the story arc in this, where Noah realizes, I got to save everybody. And I thought that's what brought the movie home, in a sense of, I didn't get the one thing I wanted in this movie. And I'll tell you about that. Is like, I did not get what I wanted from this film. Okay. But what I did have is I had a good time. Right. But the question we always ask in this program, was it a good movie? Or was it a bad movie? Thumbs up or thumbs down? We'll discuss that when we come right back. But we do got other movies coming up this week on Unpop Review Entertainment and our wrestling portion of shows. So we'll be right back, y'all.
At Carolina Pines, the membership is reserved. But they're about to meet a man.
I'm in search of an application, sir.
How are you with a shovel?
Shovel?
Did he call you a Hold it! This is a very exclusive club.
Who doesn't take no for an answer.
Oh! What the hell are you doing on my golf course?
Shooting a music video.
You see that line? It represents the property line of that estate. Guess who closed escrow yesterday?
Who's your caddy?
So you're saying you could travel back in time?
I can fix things. I can save people. I can save my mom. I can save your parents.
You can also destroy everything. This world must die.
No! My name is Kara. I will help you.
Interesting group.
Want some help?
Wait, he's Batman?
Are you ready?
Ready.
Let's go.
Flash review in the next 6 to 7 days. It comes out this Thursday. We were not privileged to early releases like other people, but we're going to all go see it. And we'll talk about that next week. And then we continue with our bad movies that we love this Thursday. Who's your caddy? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Tune in for that as well. I am Mike Knox, that executive consultant. Executive consultant, when you said You looked at this movie and you loved RC's part in this movie. I also agree with you. What are some of your good parts in this? Because all I hear is the bad. Is there anything about this movie you liked at all?
It is it. It's like Mirage. And I liked RC. You know, RC didn't really do. I mean, she had one little scene there, but she didn't really do much. But I thought she was casted well. You mentioned earlier about Mirage and how you didn't know it was Pete Davidson. I mean, I knew going into the movie that Pete Davidson was in the movie, but when I watched the movie, I completely forgot that was Pete Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even exaggerating. I completely forgot. And then I saw a commercial as I was going through my timeline. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he's in this movie. He is Mirage. So yeah, he did a very good job in this movie. Scourge was okay.
Peter Dinklage.
Well, he always brings it. No matter what role he does, he always does it. Brings it. So he was really good. But I can't say he was really memorable. But he did his job. But like I said, there was just so many. As a fan of the actual franchise growing up, the toy cartoon franchise growing up, I just know there's so much more to it that they just kind of gloss over at times, and that gets kind of annoying. So I'm always going to be a fan of Optimus Prime, no matter what he does. And I'll say this because sooner or later we'll get into our Transformers reviews. My favorite Transformers actually is Revenge of the Fallen. So yeah, I know a lot of people disagree with that. I thought that was the best one, and I still to this day think that was the best one. So
why? Just curious.
I have to watch them all again to give you the answer. I just remember that's the only one I went and I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't bad. Even though I don't think any of them were like really bad, I just don't think they're as good as they can be. I think there's something missing, and I'll do this, and it's interesting. I'll talk about this, but when I compare it to G.I. Joe, right? The first G.I. Joe movie, in my opinion, was very, very good. I grew up in G.I. Joe and I grew up in Transformers. I have not seen a Transformers movie, in my opinion, that's been very, very good. I think visually, outside the fact that I can't tell the difference between some of them at times, I think visually, I think all the Transformer movies are phenomenal. You know, they do a very good job. But I still do need a story at times. So I'll say this, and I'm not doing a thumbs up, thumbs down, but I'll say this. Because everybody who watches the show knows I compare all my movies nowadays to one movie, and that movie being this movie, right? I wasn't a fan of this movie because of being Batman, but the story of the movie, I don't think was overall bad. I think the story of the movie was good. It just did not feel like a Batman movie should, because some of the characters weren't the true characters, in my opinion. But when I compare it to this movie, you're going to find out in a few.
Well, your opinion is wrong. Those characters were true in the Batman, but we talked about this as well off air. Before. If you don't know, if it's not called Batman, it's actually a really, you know what I mean? I can see why you would love it more, but I see why you're saying it's not a Batman movie. It's just you didn't want to see a year one.
Riddler doesn't act like Riddler. Penguin does not act like Penguin. And Batman does not act like Batman. Bruce Wayne did not act like Bruce Wayne. Alfred did not act like Alfred. What are you talking about?
I think outside of Riddler, Penguin was Penguin, who's the gangster. No. He's early on.
He is a gangster, and yes, you're right. It is early on, but he was never that much of a bitch.
I wouldn't say he was a bitch in that movie, but we discussed the Transformers, the Rise of
Carmine Falcone,
Beast, Rise of the Beast. Here's my thing: as I watched this movie, right, I just wanted what you just mentioned, right? I look at the first Transformers movies that came out, the Michael Bay films of Transformers, which the first one I didn't really like too much. I mean, I liked it a lot, but I wanted more, like you said, a better story. The second one, as a black man, I didn't like it. The one you liked the most. I did feel like it was too many Negro cons, all right, to be politically correct on the program.
James sings the same thing. I remember.
That's where I got it from. That's where I stole it from. I straight stole it from him when I heard, you know what I mean? So that's his. The third one I always say all the time, that's my favorite one. But again, as you're mentioning, I like that movie because it's a great action movie, not because it's Transformers. You know what I mean? And I also look at when you're watching these Transformers movies, I want fucking Megatron. Why is that so hard? I want one thing and one thing only from any movie.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
If you'd have gave me that when Prime and Scourge are face to face, even though that's a Megatron line, I would have probably loved it. Right? I'm literally watching the movie like, just give me that. Come on. You didn't give me nothing else I wanted. Just give me that, huh?
They had that line before.
In what movie?
Transformers.
Right. And which Transformers?
The first one.
Yeah, but it was whack because it wasn't Megatron to me. Give me a Megatron, looks like Megatron, and give me that line.
It was Megatron.
Right. I get he's Megatron, but I want a gun. What did that dude transform into? Okay, give me Galvatron even, for heaven's sakes.
Well, you had Galvatron in one of the movies.
You never had Galvatron in the Transformers movie, except for the cartoon. Except for the cartoon movie, no, you had.
That's incorrect. They had
Galvatron. What Transformers movie?
I believe it was the fourth one. You had the Galvatron.
The one with Mark Wahlberg.
Yes, he had Galvatron. The fourth movie, it was Galvatron. I am correct.
I'm sorry. I got to Google it.
That's fine.
I just don't remember him playing Galvatron in that movie. It
was Galvatron in that movie. Even though Galvatron should have been in this movie if you really want to do
that's how bad it was that I didn't want to see it. All right. Unicron, voiced by, such a great actor, and Mr. Coleman Domingo, who's also in the Color Purple movie coming up, by the way. Can't wait to see that. But just overall, my takes on this movie as a child growing up, being that Transformers and G.I. Joe were my favorite two cartoons along with He-Man, Thundercats, right? But they were 1 and 2 to me. However you want to put them 1 or 2, 2 to 1, it doesn't matter. They're the best two cartoons out of the 80s, period, to me. No DC, no Marvel, none of those things where can compete with I said Voltron's probably, if you want to put 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, those are the three cartoons that ran the 80s. Look behind me there on the ground. I got them all behind me. Okay, I got all 5 lions. I got Transformers and all and Dinobots, all of it. But when I look at this movie, the ending saved it for me. Okay, so you see, they come out. Of course, we know they're going to win because that's what they do. They win, right? Transformers win in the end. They always,
It's a prequel also, so you know they have to win.
A prequel?
This is a prequel.
This is a part 2, if you will, to This is like part 2 to Bumblebee.
This is a prequel to Transformers, to Revenge of the Fallen, Last Night, and all that. This is a prequel.
Have they said that and I missed? I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't recall that ever being mentioned anywhere.
You can tell because of the same designs and because of
they're not completely. Bumblebee was not the same as he was before.
And how does Bumblebee talk?
Well, Bumblebee's always talked like that in the movies, where he got his voice box messed up, so he uses the radio.
It's a prequel.
Okay,
that's why you don't get Megatron in these movies, also. Well, because he doesn't show up until, and that's why they also don't make themselves public to everybody yet, because it's all in the last 5.
What saved the movie was Ramos at the end after he saved the world, which I thought was great because you look at my guy Sam Witwicky, who saved the world, couldn't get a job. They just dismissed the brother. Okay, Noah saves the world, and they got a job for him, and not just any job for him. Right? They want him to turn. He's like, "What are you talking about?" The guy's like, "Hey, good answer." Nothing touches the first 2 Transformers.
Transformers 2.
Tomato. I call them tomatoes, not tomatoes. And Transformers 2 was horrible. They had Negro cons. It was offensive. Okay? So,
in this movie, they kind of touched on that. That's another thing you should think about. They kind of touched on the fact that it's like it was a scene where he was being racist to the guy because
I saw that. Yeah,
that was
Will Jack. Mm-hmm. Will Jack when they got there, and even thinking that part, the soundtrack, right? I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, first of all, I love the soundtrack, right? I have no problem with the soundtrack, except for the fact, damn it, some of them songs went to the 94. Okay, they were clearly DMX didn't come out to 98. So why is they playing DMX in 1994? And it was also at one point there were back-to-back scenes. It was Noah, Elena, and back to Noah, where they were completely music playing through the entire scenes. I didn't like that necessarily. Okay, and shout out to the director who did Creed 2. Okay, he did his Mr. Caple. He did his thing. But again, I think the little young boy Chris Diaz, Dion Scott played the role. The little young boy. I thought they took the movie, but just overall, this Transformers movie, to me, just was missing something from being Transformers. But the question is, would I go see it again? Do I like it or do I don't like it? That is the question. So we'll be right back here. Play one more course break, give you our thumbs up, our thumbs down, and we'll be right back.
Previously on the Mike Knox Show.
Something that upsets me as a wrestling fan, right? Which is, what else is it? It's the constant fight between one fan base and another fan base. To me, the heart of professional wrestling was right here on SmackDown. When you look at the bloodline, you're talking about TV that I literally clapped for. I cannot remember the last time I clapped for a television program. All right, this is television at its finest. Civil War at its finest. Which side are you on? Whose side are you choosing? Right? Yeah, I died. The Bloodline is the greatest storyline in wrestling history. And we are back. Thumbs ups, thumbs downs. Go ahead, Executive Consultant. Your thoughts, final thoughts, if you will, also, and thumbs up, thumbs down on this film.
It's tough, man. It's tough. One thing I'll say is, and I think I said this last week, that I really believe that this year has been really good for movies. I've seen some fantastic movies.
It's been a really good year
this year. And it makes me almost become a moviegoer again because I'm not as big of a moviegoer as I used to be. I want to say this movie did draw me in with a few scenes. Nothing really stood out, but I use the term that I use in wrestling that I use here, and that's bell to bell. Did I enjoy it? So let me go ahead and explain how I feel about this movie.
No, you're not getting us kicked off of YouTube.
Stop it. We're not going to get kicked off. I love
you will get us
that particular movie.
Absolutely.
This movie is one of 7 Transformer movies, and I feel like is in the top tier of the Transformer movies. But my criteria always is, did I enjoy it better than this movie? I can tell you that there was a good part of this 2-hour-long movie I barely was paying attention. Wow. But they gave me enough for me to give it a thumbs up. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
All right. I'm going to take a page out of your book, if you will. From bell to bell?
Man,
From bell to bell? No, the bell to bell. I did like it from bell to bell. My problem with this movie is me as fans. Everything I do in life, whether it's Android versus Apple, Xbox versus PlayStation, Marvel versus DC, I blame the fans, right? Because we're the ones that have the expectations. I did not expect anything from this movie, although I expected a lot from this movie. And when I say that I want, and I still have not gotten, a Transformers movie that I want to go see, that I'm happy to go see, that gives me this feeling of the toy, and they're on Cybertron, and they look like the Transformers that I grew up with. I have yet to still get that film. So that's on me. So then I have to back off of what I want and look at what they produced and what they gave me on the screen. And I gotta say, this was a good movie. This was a good, from the ending, they're going to introduce G.I. Joe into this thing. Okay, you're going to get G.I. Joe meets the Transformers as they had in the comic book. Okay, you can call it what you want to call it, but that is a good time had by all. I am here for that. There's sometimes I sit here and I just watch. There's a YouTube channel that plays Transformers and G.I. Joe 24/7. It's just going in the background while I'm just gaming or doing something else. Just on. I just watch Transformers and G.I. Joe all day, every day. I'm here for this. I was here for this movie. I think this movie was good. Spoiler alert, not really. Thumbs up. Good time by all, in my opinion. Now, I'm not my wife. My wife sat in that movie theater like they're talking every single scene. But guess what? I was in a premiere movie with a bunch of people. It was sold out. They all were talking through this movie. The movie that I was in, enjoyed. This is why I go to the movies. I think going to the movies opening weekend is how you go watch a movie. We're intelligent moviegoers. We can enjoy the movie. Like, one of the best parts of the movie was literally after the movie was over, we all go to the bathroom. We're separate urinals, like you're supposed to be in a man's bathroom. If there's a urinal open, you do not pee next to the next person next to you. That's bad advice. Okay, we're in there talking in the bathroom, like, yo, that was pretty good. Yo, G.I. Joe coming. So I did. I can literally say I love the movie.
That's not an intelligent moviegoer. An intelligent moviegoer goes and watches the movie. I hate when people talk during the movie.
No, when I mean talk, I don't mean talk like the whole like
I'd rather go to an empty theater. Also, I'd rather go to an empty theater. I don't want
you can watch it at home for that. So you're a fan of somebody who would love to watch movies at home. That's going to be coming now.
I like watching movies at home, but also I prefer to see some movies in a theater first. This was one of them. I said, you know what, I'm going to go to a theater because I can get the experience, but I don't need the COVID crowd.
I love the energy. I loved it. There was nothing like going to see. There was nothing like going to see Infinity War. It is to me. It is when you're going to see Infinity War and the crowd is screaming out, "Wakanda forever!" and the whole crowd screaming it right back. And then
I can't hear something.
No, there's nothing to hear. There's nothing to hear. You're not gonna. And that little
not
small
true.
period of time,
I might have missed the line because they want to flap their gums. Because they were flapping their gums.
I love it. I love the experience. I love the energy. I love being in there around the people. I'm a people person. You're clearly are not. That's why you're wearing sunglasses at night. So it's okay. But I thought this movie was good from top to bottom, although I did have some problems with the storyline. Like I said, them just finding out everything in Peru and just getting all the like they moved the one big stone thing. And I'm like, and she's like, "Are you pushing?" Literally, and I like Anthony Nova's character in this movie, but it didn't like he was pushing worth of shit. Trying to get the thing open at all. Like I just thought overall it could have been a very better written story, but I love the platform they're being built on off of Bumblebee. I do think it's better than Bumblebee. I think honestly, it is the best Transformer movie to date, not being the animated movie to me, because at least it gave me where it's the best action I've seen. It was the best interaction with humans that I have seen. The ending about mixing in G.I. Joe. It could have had the primals Maximals be a lot better. Okay, but I also saw the director talking about the next movie already about how they didn't really get their shine, which was kind of confusing. Like, if you know they didn't get their shine, then why name it what you named it? Okay, why name it Rise of the Beast when the Beast didn't rise? So, but overall, I had a good time in this movie overall. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to get up out of here. We thank you. Tune in to everything Unpopular Review Entertainment, Unpopular Review Wrestling. You name it. You got a movie, you got a TV show, you like wrestling, we'll be there. Check out the Mike Knox Show tomorrow at 6 o'clock and all the shows on Unpopular Review as well. That is Executive Consultant. I am Mike Knox with Directions. Why? Because I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, if I don't get this in my next movie.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
He said I got it already, but I want it my way or no way. It's like Burger King. We out of here, y'all. Peace.